Mirna from thenaughtynutritionist.com, where we're all about teaching you easy tips and strategies to lose weight and feel amazing without giving up all the fine foods in life. As you can notice, I'm a bit under the weather today, so I'm going to try to keep this short and hopefully my voice can hold and hopefully you can hear me. So if you're out there, let me know if you can hear me. And maybe you also noticed that Jenny is not around, and that is because for the next few weeks, we're talking about a topic that we thought would be best that we show you while we're in the kitchen. So Jenny and I will be alternating and doing a series all about meal prep. And what better place to start with meal prep than with organizing your kitchen? So I had to learn quite a bit about this because of the tiny condo I live in, and I don't have that much space to store things in. So I have to be creative, but in a way, it's also good because that means that I don't buy a lot of stuff at once and I can be using things as I go along. So let's get started. So today we're going to be talking all about how to organize what type of things to stock in your kitchen so that you always have something ready to go, as well as how long things last for and how to properly store goods. I've had this question a lot, and maybe we'll create some type of poster around this about how to store different types of things such as grains or herbs or anything like that. So let's get started. I want to start with the fridge, actually. And I don't know if any of you saw the article that was posted earlier this week. My fridge is not going to look quite the same as what you saw in that article. And because this week I'm trying to empty up a lot of the things, and I'm trying to finish up a lot of the things that I have, because I've been focusing a lot more on food waste. So I'm trying to finish off what I have, and next week I'm going to be restocking everything again. And if anyone can let me know if you can hear me. I know I'm a bit under the weather. If you have any questions, type them as well in the comments, and I'll try to get to that. So first things first, this is the fridge. So what I tend to do with my fridge, as you can see, is think of the fridge as different compartments, and some compartments are better than others for storing certain things. So at the top, you usually have a bit of a higher temperature. So things that are good to store at the top are things like your nuts and seeds. So you have these are my flax seeds. I have my chia seeds, and a lot of us don't know this, but even grains, so this is barley, but if you have any whole grains, even brown rice, wheat or barley, all of these are best stored in the fridge or freezer, and that includes whole grain flours as well. And it's because when the whole grain is intact, it has some oils that oxidize faster. So they get the grain or the flour would go bad faster if it's stored outside versus being in the fridge or even freezer. Because I tend to go through these quite quickly, I tend to store them in the fridge, and they're good in the fridge for about 6 months, probably a bit longer as well, and in the freezer for 12 months. So make sure that you stock all your whole grain and flours in the fridge or freezer. And that is one reason why so much is done with white flour, because it tends to last so much longer. So obviously companies have a benefit of using white flour in their products because they last on the shelf longer and they're able to just keep them faster. So that's with the top shelf. Yeah, I have my spelt flour here. I also have my oats in here as well. I'm just gonna close it for a second so it's not beeping all of the time. And I'm gonna get to The second part here is where I have all of my nut butters. So these are some of the staples that you do want to keep at all times. So you want to have nut butters, you want to have nuts and seeds, you want to have certain types of flours and grains and brown rice always stocked up in your pantry. Quinoa is okay outside, but make sure that it's stored in a tight, like everything is well sealed. That goes for all of these. So everything is well sealed. So nut butters, it's very important to store your nut butters, especially when it comes to peanut butter. It's very important to store that in the fridge because peanut butter is prone to produce certain molds, which can be toxic. So it's better to store these in the fridge, and it would help keep it longer. Same goes for nuts and seeds because they have delicate oils. So you want to store these in the fridge. And since we're talking about that, if you're using any seed oil or nut oil such as walnut, sesame, for example, if you're using flax oil, hemp oil, or any of these, you want to definitely store these in the fridge. And these can be stored in this compartment. So the door compartment, the temperature is also tends to be a bit higher. So in this compartment, you really want to store things such as mustard, ketchup, condiments. You don't want to store regular milk here. So milk is better kept somewhere down where it's a bit colder in that area of the fridge. And almond milk should be okay, or nut milk should be generally okay here. Now, because of this space, like my fridge isn't that big, and because of the space, I also have some oats here, and hemp seeds here, and the pine nuts here. So let me close that again so you're not hearing this all the time. So I'm just gonna get down a bit to the compartments. So with leftover foods, so this is what I'm having today. It's actually balila. It's a Lebanese dish that's made with chickpeas and lots of garlic and lemon to make me feel good. And we top it with pine nuts. And I'm having that with some whole grain bread, as well as like topped with cilantro. It's really delicious. It's sort of like I'm gonna be warming this up. So going down, you can store some leftover foods still up here. And then obviously like pickled stuff. These are my favorite turnips right about now. And these are okay to be stored in the door section. It's just that my door section is very narrow, so I can't store them there, but these are totally okay. So you can have your food again in the higher areas. For anything that is chicken and meat and fish and eggs and dairy as in milk and stuff, you really want to store it in the coldest area of your fridge. And that would be like in the down compartment here. And you want to like sort of shove it right inside at the end. So I have my eggs right here. I have some fish in there as well. And I have just another carton of nut milk here. And last, you want to have obviously the compartments that are down. They're made specially for storing fruits and vegetables, and they have a certain level of humidity. So you want to make sure that you are storing any fruits and veggies in those compartments. So that's where you would have it. And I wanted to make a note on herbs. So the best way to store really any herbs is there's two ways. So one way, for example, for things like basil, so that one is really good, best stored outside. So you just like snip the bottom the same way you do with flowers. and then you would just add a bit of water and you would cover it sort of loosely with a plastic bag on top. And that's because it really keeps the flavor. But for some other things, I have really found it very useful just for my meal prep, and it just helps me keep things much faster instead of having them in a jar container. And I don't have enough space in the fridge to put my cilantro, for example, in a glass jar and then cover it and then have it here and it's unwashed. What I found works really well is washing them, and then you have to dry it like really, really well. So once you dry it really, really well, you can wrap them sort of like in paper towel and then just seal them. And I found that they last for at least a week, sometimes up to like 10 days, or even I've had it last for a couple of weeks, and they don't go bad. Just you have to make sure that they are really, really dry. So this is for your herbs. So with that, some of the staples that always I'd like to have handy in my fridge are, as I said, nuts and nut butters, the grains and pseudo grains such as quinoa, and as well, maybe if you would like some yogurt, some nut milks, then just trying to think. You also want to always keep certain veggies in the freezer. So that's another section that I almost forgot about. So the freezer section, I always like to have some frozen fruit, some frozen veggies. Those are just as good nutritionally. So just go out and buy some spinach, broccolis, peas, carrots, those veggie mixes. Those are perfect to have any time that you don't have time to run to the grocery store, but you want to make something healthy. And another thing I always keep are some ready-made foods. If I have nothing at hand and I want to make something, I can always heat this up. So this is a good brand. It's Amy's. They have like some nice burritos. I also have like some root veggie burgers in here, just in case. Always have something in stock in case you have nothing else to think about. Veggies. And now let's get on to some of the other. I hope I don't make you dizzy with this. I'm gonna try to get onto the cupboards for this. And in here, so the first thing I have right below here is I have all of my sort of oils. I have all of my spices, my spice mixes. I have like my apple cider vinegar, olive oil. So all of these should be really kept in dark area and in a cool area. And the best way to tell if something has gone bad for oils, especially like including olive oil or any vegetable oils, is through the smell. But generally, you should tightly seal them and keep them in a dark area. So I have that here. I have my salt, my peppers, all my spices. I have some honey, all the different types of like vinegars, and I do have some dried fruit. So dried fruit, this, and I have some sour cherries, which are amazing. By the way, they're very anti-inflammatory. They're great for people that have any pains like arthritis. They're really good for that. And I love them on my oats. So I have like that in here, as well as some dark chocolate covered almonds as well. I love them on my oats, and some cacao nibs. So I have this in here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna move on to my other part, which is, see, I don't have that much space in here, as you can see. So here I have my supplements. So I have just one area for supplements that I rotate. So I don't usually take the same ones, although I tend to stick to some supplements that I take on an ongoing basis. Then I have the protein powder that I have with my morning smoothie after a workout. It's been obviously a bit too cold, and I haven't been having smoothies for the past few days, but I'll be going back to that. Then I have here all of my snacks and crackers and all of these things in here, followed by a lot of some canned stuff and some like beans. Beans are okay to store in your pantry. So I have both canned beans and dry beans. And for dry beans, I buy sprouted. And you can buy sprouted black beans, and they're much easier to digest by your body. So they're really good for that. And then also in here, yeah, so I have some coconut milk. So having like coconut milk, canned tomatoes, canned beans, always handy is the perfect, like different varieties of canned beans and chickpeas and all of that is always a good way to just make something out of what you have. And of course, with all the frozen veggies, you can always make something. So lastly, at the top is where I keep anything that is like extra or anything too bulky. So in there, I have some couscous. I have some like big box crackers from Costco because everything is really big there, so it doesn't fit in anywhere else. And I have some extra oats. So anything that I have extra, I have some extra hemp seeds from Manitoba Harvest. As you might know, we're ambassadors. We love hemp seeds. So I have that in that last compartment. Oh, and I forgot. I also have some pasta. So I also always keep some pasta. And if there's nothing else in the house, I can always grab some pasta and whip up something quick with the veggies that I have. Within that, I also wanted to mention another thing that you can do. You didn't see it in my fridge, like I haven't been doing this. And it's because I've pretty much memorized all of the ratios. But a really good thing that you can do here, if you have too much stuff and you tend to not remember the dates, is have a sticker and just stick it here. Put, let's say, oats, expiry date, put the expiry dates of the oats, and then put the ratio because, for example, these oats have a different ratio than steel cut oats, and different ratio for rice and for quinoa and for the different grains. And it's always helpful to have it right here on the package. So this is a great way that you can organize your kitchen with that. So if anyone has any questions, you can let me know. Otherwise, I think I might be finishing off because I don't know how much more my voice can handle today. But I hope that this was helpful. If you have questions on specific foods, on storing anything in particular, you can just put them in the comments below at any time and we'll be happy to answer them. So that's it from me today. Hope this was helpful, and it's the first step to getting your kitchen organized and getting ready for next week's meal prep series that's going to be with Jenny, and it's the basics of meal prepping. So good night, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.